Talk about the industry as a whole right now. Obviously, it exploded during COVID. We're much further past that now. Is it stagnant? Is it growing?
Vendor, A, we're not going to work with them, but we're going to go with vendor B and C. Vendor A might be the biggest, have the most opportunity out there right now. We don't foresee them being a really good partner 2 years from now.
Is the demographic of that person the same?
The demographic was people that were probably later 40s, early 50s. Fast forward where we are now, it has totally changed.
What is your hope for the healthcare industry today?
So the biggest challenge, this is the biggest challenge we've had is
we want to give a special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Greenwood Gerhardt. Starting with my parents, for years, they've helped my family feel at peace by having a team we can trust build our finances for the future. One thing I love about Greenwood Gerhardt is how directly involved the team is in the holistic planning of our finances. We can regularly check in with our advisor and know that they see the full picture of our family, even between generations. I know they're adding immense value to so many lives here in Northwest Arkansas. And to learn more about Greenwood Gerhardt and their suite of services, you can visit their website at greenwoodgerhardt.com or hit the link in the show description. The Northwest Arkansas Founders podcast is supported by Cushman & Wakefield Sage Partners. Sage is a full-service commercial real estate firm helping companies, investors, and developers grow across Arkansas. I've personally seen them add immense value to so many business owners across the Northwest Arkansas market. From office and industrial to retail and land, Sage helps businesses find the right space to grow in the state's most dynamic market. Learn more at sagepartners.com. Taylor Faught, TRS Healthcare. You took over as CEO in 2012. Family business. Deanna Wright, your mother-in-law, started the company 25 years ago, around then.
Late 90s.
Late 90s. And we're sitting here with you today. All this explosive growth you've had over the last, call it eight years or so. And, I think your unique situation compared to most of the other guests we've had on before, fully remote company, pros, cons, what do you advise someone when you're scaling a remote business?
Yeah. Very, very good question. And I can kind of just speak to, what we went through and what we were looking to do at the time. And so I was looking to expand the business and grow the business. We had just bought in the business, bought our family out, Diana and David Wright. And so I was really looking to scale and go in a different direction. And so at that time, we were really limited to just Northwest Arkansas, right? And so I was really looking for healthcare staffing experience. And that doesn't really just grow on trees around in this area. And so if I wanted vendor world or Walmart world, it's easy. We can find that talent, but really specifically in healthcare staffing, that's where I got out and really looked at the industry and saw what other companies and competitors were doing. And it was like, hey, we just need a little bit more talent, just specifically with this niche talent. So really had to start looking elsewhere, honestly. And so I found some leadership, some in New Jersey and San Diego, Little Rock, and really at that point we were doing a hybrid approach model. So we had people outside of Northwest Arkansas, but we also had our core team here. So that kind of really started this little hybrid approach. And then we started just kind of building the team around that, doing both, and it gave us access to talent that we needed as we were trying to scale and grow. And then, of course, COVID happens. We hang in there for a little bit with the team, but then make the decision, hey, everybody's got to go home. I was the last person. I did not want to do remote. I was the last person in the building. So it was me and one other person. And we were waiting for everybody to get laptops at that point, so we were in the, even before COVID, most people were working on desktops. It was funny, weather storms would come through Fayetteville. We had a lot of team members in Fayetteville, it's hilly. It was like we were going around and picking people up, right, to bring them into work. Because we didn't even have laptops fully, everybody at that time. So even kind of through this transitionary process before COVID has happened, we were already starting to migrate everybody over to laptops. So some of us we weren't fully there even at COVID. So we still had some people in the office, but eventually, everybody goes home. I really started researching at that point. Is like, what do we do? Really watching what was happening. COVID was an interesting time for us at the beginning. It was very slow. We can get into that, but then it kind of just took off and was a little crazy for a while. But we really we surveyed our people. I talked to a lot of other businesses that's all they did were remote, and really just tried to figure out what's the best option for us and what could we do. Fortunately for us, we could operate our business in a remote setting. A lot of times, in healthcare staffing, we don't even see our nurses or the people that we talk to. It's all over the phone. So they're not coming into our office or things like that. So our business model could operate without having a physical location.
Sure.
It was just the question of, was that best for us or not? And so after talking to multiple different companies, and then we surveyed our employees multiple times, the benefits and the negatives of being remote, and really kind of just after that research and after talking to our team and seeing our team being very productive, after slowly getting into a work from home environment, they were really productive and getting their jobs done. So at that point, it was really, okay, we think this is the best thing for us, and we can continue to get talent wherever we want, whether it's Northwest Arkansas, which we still do, or across the country. We're going to go find people that fit with our values and our systems and what we want to try to do within the company. So it kind of, from being productive, it working, staying on top of it, we decided to just flip the switch and go fully remote. Now, we had to completely really change how we did onboarding and bringing people in, and how we actually operated as a company and set some standards, because you can't, it's a different world. So how do you do orientation for people? How do you feel connected, and how do you build a culture? And it's been amazing. You can still have a culture in a remote. That's been probably the most fascinating thing. You can still have a culture.
How?
So I think, it's small things. It's the big and the small. You definitely have to have a vision. You definitely have to have your values. You have to be communicating and living by those things. But in a remote setting, one of the biggest things was we do video calls. So we don't really do phone calls. People can get into that, but really we want to make sure, hey, you can see people and you're talking to people. So if I'm going to call Cameron, I'm actually going to do a Zoom or a Teams call, and we're going to talk face to face, right? So a lot of people would come in and they'd have their camera off when we're doing meetings, and we're like, no. You have to be camera on always. So that is one of the biggest things that we really had to battle against. People were, well, I'm not dressed and I don't have my makeup on, or I don't have, I don't look presentable. It's like, that's not my problem. I really don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to see you, you want to see us. Because we have to make sure we're still real, we're still an organization, and we're still together. Some of it too, we have a company call every single day where everybody gets on at 11 o'clock. We kind of go over our main things that we're trying to do from the sales piece. All the support departments are there. They see what's going on and where we're going and what we're doing. With that, I do a monthly call with the whole team, where we're at, what we're doing, what goals, what rocks we're focused on, and how we're doing, and performance-wise, financially as well. So that's a big piece of that. And then two, we get together at least once a year. So we'll bring everybody in. I still think that's very important. Different times, we did it a couple of times a year. Now we're down to one, where we just bring in the whole company, just make sure we can see each other. We are real people, and make connection as well. So those are some of the bigger things, but smaller things day to day. It's making sure we're doing video calls, talking to each other, and doing we do a silly thing too. We do a hump day, Wednesday hump day, and we raise our hands and we do like a pig suey call almost. So it's it's weird. You're in Starbucks and you're going to be raising your hand doing jazz fingers. Yeah. But it's something silly that kind of just brings us together, right?
Yeah.
And it's things like that make a difference.
That's cool. So talk about the industry as a whole right now. Obviously, it exploded during COVID. We're much further past that now. But is it stagnant? Is it growing? What's the? Is it more of a lifestyle play for these nurses that want to travel year round? I guess.
Yeah. So that's been interesting because pre-COVID, it was still growing. There's a lot of opportunity. And then COVID, it was just kind of a crazy time, and exploded. So we're kind of on the backside of that from the industry perspective. It's kind of come down from COVID, and really we're at this point of just really flattening out. And so that's for us, we see that as a good thing because there's going to be some growth. We foresee going into the future. It wasn't skyrocketing like through the COVID times, but there's still potential and growth. Just the demand is still there. shortage of supply of nurses and other healthcare professionals. So as an industry, yeah, it's still positive. There's still that demand and need for people. So we see that being positive. As far as the nurse side of things, as far as the travel happening, there's been margin compression, probably so from a company, which that it puts compression on the nurse too. So inflation as well has been a challenge, just because housing, we have to provide housing, or the nurse has to find housing. So that makes things a little bit tighter and more complicated. So it probably it's not as near as lucrative for the traveler or healthcare professional during COVID, but those things are kind of adjusting and settling into as we get through, these times. But so it's a little bit tighter, but there's still a lot of opportunity for nurses. So it's taken an adjustment for healthcare professionals and nurses coming out of COVID and making this, a pretty huge increase in pay on a weekly basis to where they are now. So that is shaking out and working out. So it's not as lucrative for, us or the nurse at this point as it was in COVID, but that, it's looking more positive as we get further and further away from COVID.
Talk about, so what's the value prop for one of these nurses? And then I want to just, you share the offerings that you have between international and national here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we call them the people we work with, any healthcare professional, we call them travelers because they're out traveling across the country. So, there's a lot of different benefits to it. It just depends on what that person's looking for. But yes, generally speaking, for them, the benefit would be, hey, they can make more money. They can see different parts of the country if they're looking for adventure or travel. They can also get, the other big thing is different experiences within healthcare systems, because different healthcare systems operate differently, do things differently. So they get a broader understanding. They can also upskill, because you could go to Mayo Clinic, or you could go to MD Anderson. And so those are things are, skill sets that they're improving and also building a resume too for them in the future, depending on whatever they want to do. So those are the bigger things and benefits of why somebody would want to travel, and why they do. So, yeah.
Is the demographic of that person the same? Do y'all see trends in that? Have those trends changed?
That's a fascinating question, because when I started this 20 some years ago, it was really, the demographic was people that were probably later 40s, early 50s. Their kids had graduated and they were becoming empty nesters, or were about to happen. And so, and at that time too, we were explaining what travel nursing was, or, or travelers, what that even was and how it even worked. Right. Yeah. And so that was a big education at that time too. So fast forward where we are now, it is totally changed. I think our probably average would be probably in the 30s still, but you still are getting younger people entering and wanting to travel. So, and now it's not an education thing. I mean, now I'll talk to people, they say, hey, I want to go to nursing school, and then I want to get my 2 years experience, and then I want to go travel. I mean, that's what it looks like now. And it kind of fits, the millennial Gen Z generational situation too, because they're not looking at settling down, buying a home. They're kind of delaying those things till later in life. So that's now this type of environment, or the benefits of traveling, fits that generational dynamic more so. So yeah, we see a lot more, the demographic is a lot younger than what we saw 20 years ago, no doubt.
That's cool. And then walk us through an example of what a traveler could make versus a nurse down the street, and what on average, like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So that all depends on everything. But yeah, you're looking at, if you go travel, you're probably looking at $2,000 a week right now, as opposed to being at home. It could be $1,000 or $1,200. It just depends on what the breakdown, and then traveling can be even higher than that. It just depends on what the specialty and what the demand is and what the need is at the facility level.
Cool. That's surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you walk us through the start of the business, just kind of some of the history part of it, maybe what the business was doing then, and then we'll get into what it's doing now and how that's changed.
Yeah,
so.
No problem. So fascinating story. Diana Wright, my mother-in-law, started it all. She was, her story just really condensed was she was a single mom, put herself through nursing school, became a nurse, eventually went to MBA school, was more of an entrepreneur. She found out, did some hospitals and clinics, but eventually ended up moving to Northwest Arkansas, probably mid 90s or so, and was really looking to, hey, what do we do now? And so she decided to do a staffing company. And at that time, what motivated her was in Arkansas, at that time, registered nurses were making like $12 an hour, I think. So they were getting paid very well. So fortunately, right at that time, we had the turnpike connecting Northwest Arkansas over to Tulsa. So really her strategy was, hey, she went and worked shifts over in Tulsa, learned during the night, figured out their staffing needs and their schedules, and then she would come back to Arkansas and start recruiting nurses and placing nurses. And at that time, it was a per diem agency, which we would call its daily staffing. Nothing was guaranteed, so you could staff 100 nurses for the next day, but only 50 work or pick up their shift. So really transactional and really nothing guaranteed there. But she built her business up to be the most dominant, regional per diem agency at that time. And the sell to, the Arkansas nurses was, hey, you go work one shift for me and you'll make basically what you made in a week. And the thought was, well, we can't go over to Tulsa. That's like 2 hours over there. She's like, no, it's actually, hour and 15, hour and a half. Like you can do this, you can work a shift, come home. So, the growing, infrastructure of the area and the forward thinking people in Northwest Arkansas, which has been great. I mean, she benefited from that. Yeah. It was great. It was a good model. So shortly, that was per diem's tough, cutthroat, nothing's guaranteed. So she had the vision of going to more of the travel type business and industry. So she made the jump and the leap and really haven't looked back from there. So she did an incredible job building the business and going through that. And so she, in 2012, that's where she had a cancer diagnosis and really had to step out. And that's where I kind of came in and ran the company, and took over from CEO at that point. And then about 4 or 5 years later, that's when we bought out the company and started really trying to grow it too. But for me, how I got into the business, I always said I would never work for the family business. I think that's when I learned never to say never. That was a God thing. I think it was like, okay, we're going to find out if that's true. But went to school at Oklahoma State, met my wife there. We went to Houston for a couple of years, and Hurricane Katrina came through, hit New Orleans. Hurricane Rita came in and was coming straight for Houston. I grew up in Oklahoma, so I'm more used to tornadoes. You can see them coming. They're really quick and they're gone. Hurricanes, that was a different deal. So we went through that whole process and kind of evacuation process. And it's like, I don't want to do that again. Mm-hmm. So that's when we started looking at Northwest Arkansas, came back. And so I joined the family business until I could find something else, and actually really saw the opportunity. Really wasn't even aware of what healthcare staffing is and the demand and the need for healthcare professionals. And so really learned the business and enjoyed it and saw the opportunity. So I ended up staying with it. And
what year did you jump in?
So we came back. I jumped in late 2005. So December of 2005 is when I jumped in.
What did the business look like then?
Yeah. So it was smaller. So we probably had, I don't know, I would say around 100 travelers with us, probably 30, 40 people in-house. So that's where we were at that time. When I took over, it was really we were mainly a travel company.
Yeah.
And so at that time when I took over, so we were probably running 20 million when we took over revenue wise. Within a couple of years after taking over CEO, we were up to about 40. So we just doubled it in those few years. And then that's where we slowly started expanding into, from the travel, we saw the need to help hospitals consolidate their vendor panels and streamline costs for them. So that's when we developed our managed service provider, or what the best way to describe it is a broker. Mm-hmm. So we'll go into a hospital and say, hey, we'll do all your staffing for you. So you don't have to deal with 50 other agencies. Mm-hmm. So we have our own technology that helps streamline that, where they can submit profiles and nurses, they can accept people It really streamlines the invoicing. So it's really one invoice instead of 50. It's one contract instead of 50. And we can help manage and find the best providers for those hospitals as well. So it streamlines a lot.
Is that just nurses or any doctors in that as well?
So we don't, So in our world, it's called locums, is doctors or physicians or locums. So yeah, we really focus on the nursing side, pretty much any specialty within the nursing. We'll also do what we called allied as well, and that's more of what you would think is like an imaging tech or a radiology tech, X-ray tech, CT tech, surgical techs. So we'll do a lot of that as well. And then we'll bring in different partners if the hospitals want locums. We'll bring in other partners as well and team up with them.
And so, why is that? Why not? It seems like to me those are all really similar, but I assume there's like different the way the industry works. Having locum or doctors in there is just a different.
Yeah,
business.
It's a little bit different business model and structure of how you operate. And they're just different types of people too, from nurses to physicians, totally different groups, totally different setups. And yeah, the way it works, the system works a little bit is just different as well. So I would say, generally speaking, the travel setup and model on the nursing side is more longer term travel agreements. More the physician and locum side, it would be more like that per diem type model, where it's kind of daylight or the physician's moonlighting, or they're picking up a few shifts here or there. It's just a little bit different to set up in a structure and how it works. So that's kind of why we separate that out. It would be a big undertaking for us to kind of look at that model. We've looked at it, we've thought about it, but you got to really figure out where you're going to focus and be good at. It would be, we just felt like it would be more of a distraction, and we have more opportunity to grow our side of the business.
Have you stepped out in a distraction before in the business?
I think yes. So we've when we were doing nursing, we were like, hey, should we do allied and therapy? There's therapy is another piece too, because there's physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, which is a little bit different too. So we at one time said, yeah, let's go do allied and therapy, and just kind of grouped it all together. And that's kind of why we haven't really looked at doing physician or locums, because we know that was a distraction for a while. Trying to figure it out. We try to do it the exact same as nursing. It's a little bit different too. Yeah. Still same model, but you're dealing with different people, different systems on who to contact at the facility level, how to get into those different units. So it was a little bit different. So that's one thing, man, we chased that for a while and weren't successful. So we just put it on pause, came back to really, let's focus on the nursing side and really get good at that. And then we did go, okay, how do we do this better? And getting the right people in that knew a little bit more and how to grow that side of the business was really beneficial. So still same and operational, but how do we go attack it, and how do we attack the facility level, but also in the type of people we go after too, and disciplines on that, modalities on the allied side. We felt like we had a better plan to attack it. So we've done a lot better there. Therapy is another one we haven't really gone after. That's a little bit different type of a person from the therapy. I mean, they go a lot more education, a lot more schooling, so they have a little different motivation than maybe so on the nursing and the allied side. So that's another one where you're like, we look at it, but, and that might be something we jump into. That's probably the next thing. We've dabbled in it a little bit, but that's a thing. We haven't done it because I don't want to get distracted too much. So we really think the opportunities within the allied and the nursing that we can capitalize on more so than the therapy.
And like, what would you say to somebody who's trying to grow their business and maybe they're experiencing a lot of growth, and someone's like, hey, let's do this, or hey, let's do this. You've probably had a lot of those experiences. So I think the root of what we're trying to figure out is like, well, why not expand, or why not expand now, or why wait, 2 years from now?
Right. That's a really good question. And, I think I know a lot of people say this, well, you got to find your niche, right? And I think that is important. It's just building, hey, when you're looking at doing something different, how do you build a plan and you need a good business plan to be jumping into that separate niche, And so I can tell you where we've said no, even through COVID was an interesting thing. Is there was a lot of business out there, it was growing, and there was a lot of people needed help, a lot of facilities needed help, and different partners and brokers, needed help as well. So we went through that whole process, and we just said, we're not going to try to help everybody here. What we're going to realize is what I saw was, hey, this isn't going to be this fast growing forever, right? This is going to correct and come back down. And there's going to be people that are not going to pay attention to us and really don't care about TRS and us as a company. So my deal was, guys, we got to focus on people that are going to be partners in the long run and are going to be here afterwards and really want to partner with us. And so in the future, right? Yeah. And so that's where we just said, hey, there's certain, vendor, A, we're not going to work with them, but we're going to go with vendor B and C. Even though vendor A might be the biggest and might have the most opportunity out there right now, we don't foresee them being a really good partner, 2 years from now. Sure. And so that was one of the areas where we're not going to go chase the highest bill rate. We're not going to go chase the most amount of revenue that we could actually get, but we're going to actually focus on people that we'll build partnerships with, and we can build partnerships through a challenging time right now, and then we can prove ourselves, and it's going to help us out on the back end. And that's really been really beneficial, just choosing the right partners that they need you to succeed and they want you to succeed, your business to succeed as well. So that's one area where we say, hey, no, in a different way is like, hey, no, we're not going to go after this. We're not going to go after this type of client. We're going to go after these types of clients that want a relationship and a long-term relationships, and we'll be here in the long run. So that's helped us coming out of COVID is we had stronger relationships than what we did before. And we focused on certain people. And that's really been a big win for us coming out. And we've handled kind of coming off the COVID low a lot better than a lot of other companies out there, which has been helpful.
It's really good. So 2012 to 2014, you double in size. Or did you add managed service provider, Allied at that time? Where did that growth all come from?
So kind of the involvement in our different products and what we have. Yeah. So we, I think probably around 2015 is when we actually started adding our MSP or the broker business. And through that, we've grown it to be a part of our business. And then through that too is when we actually started getting into international as well. We found some partners and to come along with us and help us out. And then we launched with them our own international business as well. So what that allowed us to do is when we're in there with our MSP, we talk to the hospital, and it provides them other options too, beyond just a temporary solution through a travel assignment or a traveler. So when we deal with our international business, we'll bring in people from other countries that are nursing, they have nursing degrees and have passed their nursing license. It's usually from the Philippines, but we do other countries as well. And they can come in, and we'll actually just be like a perm placement company. So we allow the hospital owns that relationship with that individual. And usually it's like 3 years at a time. So it's a longer term solution for that hospital and a lower cost for them that can help them and maintain and help their core staff and build their core strength. So that's kind of what that actually international helps, just provide other solutions and more offerings for our clients.
So that international person is not an employee of TRS, they're an employee of the hospital.
Yeah, so that's kind of the benefit and the way we take it. Yeah, we don't own that relationship. The hospital actually, that nurse will be an employee of the hospital. Okay. So where that's different from the travel perspective is all the healthcare professionals that are working with us and out there on assignment, those are all W-2. So we handle all their compliance. We help them with housing. We do all their benefits and we payroll. So it's a big, we have a lot of support staff to make all those things happen.
And talk about the process of international, maybe how that's changed, not to get political, but some of the stuff that happened with H-1B visas and stuff like that. We have not interacted with anyone on the Founders podcast yet who's had to experience any of that. So how has that impacted your business?
Yeah, so that's been an interesting one. So it really does, whatever administration is in the office and how they approach things really can affect what happens on that, because it is a longer term play to get somebody processed through the system. So there's various different ways of doing it, but that's where you have to focus in on, hey, what do we do? You could do 10 different ways of getting somebody else in, whether it's H-1B or an EB-3. not to get too complicated, H-1Bs can be very fast if the client or the hospital system is set up correctly, but you have to be set up correctly to get those people in as quickly as you can. EB3s are a little bit longer term process. That is the visa, basically, that these individuals can get. It takes a little bit. There's a process to do that. Administration policy can affect that too, because they have to go through it, they have to get their immigration documentation together, get their visa approval. They have to do an interview. That's condensing it down a lot. And then they have what we call priority dates, where that's when they can actually come into the U.S. And that just depends on what the administration wants to do and how many people they want to let in. So that's the varying. It could take when a client says, "Hey, I would like to go the international route," it could take 18 months to 2 years to get that person, right? So it is a little bit longer of a term on an EB3. H1B could be, hey, I could get them in 8 weeks if you have everything set up correctly. So that's generally how it works. So with us in the international piece, actually, the H-1B really didn't affect us too much, because we just can focus on EB3s and bring people in through that process. There's no restrictions on that outside the normal process of just depending on how many people they want to let in, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been our focus. The H-1Bs haven't been a major part of our business. We do some of it. It works. We'll do it on special cases, but a lot of it has been more of the visa EB3 process for us. So the latest ruling, in essence, really hasn't messed with us too much.
Yeah. What is as far as like international to national travel business, percent of what you do, percent of revenue on each side? Like, what does that look like?
Right. So mainly the international is way smaller than what we're doing on the travel side.
Sure.
So I would say, we're probably 200 million in revenue on the travel nurse side, with probably on the broker business around 35 to 40 million on that side, and international is anywhere from like 2 to 3 million on that side. So that's kind of where we're at.
So it's more, you're trying to solve it's not like this high growth, or it's more, hey, we have another way to help solve problems for our clients. Right. And this is a way
to do that. Yeah. And there is potential for some high growth there too. So that's kind of what we're building out the infrastructure. We really kind of used it. We started probably 3-4 years ago, and it was like, hey, how do we test this out? How do we learn? So it's been more of a learning process on the international side for us. But yes, there's still a lot of opportunity to expand and grow on that side. A lot more, there's a higher margin on the international side than per se the managed services and the healthcare staffing.
Yeah. And so you were talking, obviously, the explosive growth in COVID, making a decision to like work with great partners. Talk about 2022 to now.
Yeah.
That era of maybe you're saying it's flattening off. What are the challenges been in these last few years? And what are you kind of seeing for the future?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. So 2023 is where it started to kind of change a little bit and go down and flatten out. So a lot of the big change now is which is a good thing too, is there's price transparency. So and that means what goes along with that. That means, hey, the healthcare professional can see what the rates are for everybody. A lot of people, everything's really on job boards and all the job postings. So you can really see at a quick glance, where's the best pay for that nurse, right?
Oh, wow.
And so it brings in a lot of competition, a little bit more from the agency's perspective. Also, what's happened too is, so you have nurses looking for just the highest pay, right? But that's not everything. I mean, sometimes there's a reason why there's the highest pay. And are you getting the benefits that you need from your agency and at the hospital level too, right? So we all have to try to figure out what's the right mix and how to do that appropriately for them. So also too is hospitals, they learn too, and good on them. They learned through COVID, man, you really have to pay more to the nurses. So that's what's happening too, is the hospitals have strategically started paying their nurses more. So from our perspective, it's made it a little bit tougher because hey, nurses are, well, I can make okay money or good money here now at the hospital where I wouldn't before.
Oh yeah.
Now, and that would make me want to, hey, maybe go travel more, right? So we have a little bit more competition, which I think is good for nurses because that's what they needed for a long time. Nurses were really underappreciated, underpaid, and overlooked. And so, I think through COVID, they got the recognition they deserved. I mean, it was amazing because a lot of times, as they should, I always say firemen, policemen, military, they got a lot of recognition as they should, but I feel like, man, nurses are right up there. They should be getting just as much recognition, and they didn't. A lot of times, I think COVID really showed how much we depend on healthcare, and we depend on nurses and people in the hospitals taking care of us because they're taking care of us at our worst, right? So you don't get a lot of praise for that, which I was glad to see through COVID they did. Well-deserved, and even coming out of COVID too, I think everybody's adapted a little bit more, which is great for them, that they're getting more recognition and paid more too. So that's the benefit. And so, yeah, those are some of the challenges that we work through. As maybe we talked a little bit before, another impact on us is just the inflation, right? Just housing being more expensive. So that's really it's tightened things up for the nurse, for us, hospitals as well, and just access to people. So that's a little bit more of a challenge that we're fighting through. So what are we doing to really combat that? We are doing a lot of automation within our technology and systems. That's where AI is coming in and kind of helping us automate a lot of things, and we can do things a lot more efficiently. And speed is the name of the game in our world too. When a job comes up, we're competing to find the right person and to do it quickly against other companies that are our competitors. So anything we can do to speed up the process of signing up a nurse or a surgical tech or an imaging tech into our system, getting all their compliance and documents and paperwork to build a resume or what we call their profile, and then get them to the job and to that facility. Anything we can do in that process to speed it and make it less costly, speed it up and make it less costly is really key to us. So that's kind of what we're focusing on, automation and some AI technologies to be able to do that and do it quicker and do it at less cost, so we can provide more pay to that nurse as well. So that's kind of key in what we're focused on right now.
What is your hope for the healthcare industry today, moving forward, where it's at today? Obviously there's, every industry has challenges, but you see it all nationally across the board, in a lot of different hospitals, institutions. What's your hope for U.S. healthcare?
Yeah. Well, number one is, how do we continue to improve and have better patient care, right? Like from us, and just specifically within us, what we do, long time, our vision and mission statement was comforting and restoring lives. Because really what we did was if a hospital or somebody, they need staff, for various different reasons, but they might need an extra nurse to help. Well, if we found our nurse and put them there and help that hospital, that is helping them provide better patient care, right? If our nurse wasn't there, then maybe that patient's not getting the attention that they deserve and that they need, right? And so I think ultimately that's still at the heart of what we do, is making sure and helping people get the care that they need. I've experienced, the care from our own staffing company is two different situations. I had a friend that had, autoimmune disease, and he was being paralyzed. And so I would take my friend and his wife lunch every chance I could while they're in the hospital. And then one day I'm there, and my friend's wife says, do you have this nurse named Lynn Brown Dawson? And I was like, yeah, how do you know that person? She goes, well, she took care of my husband. And I was so thankful in how she took care of him that I could go at home and take care of my kids at night and leave him, and knew he would be okay, right? And I almost came to my knees, right? So it was like, wow, we were a part of that process and got to experience that personally. And then on the opposite side, I think we were going in for our third child, our first daughter, and the two nurses checking us in at triage were TRS nurses, right? And so it was like a joyful thing. Here it is. Yeah. These nurses are helping my wife and my future child that's about to come into this world. So at the end of the day, it's better patient care. So just even in our industry, that's what we're focused on doing and trying to help. But also too, just in a macro sense, I mean, how do you do it more cost efficiently, and how do you provide cheaper and better care as well? Because it's expensive and it's growing, and I think that's kind of gets out of my realm. And but I think at the end of the day, that's what we need is how can we drive down costs? How can we provide better patient care when we do need help? Yeah.
So talk about why a client would reach out to you, like a not hypothetical, like a real reason. So if I'm a hospital, could I not just post my own nursing jobs? Or maybe I have these nursing jobs posted, I'm not getting the right candidates, so I reach out to TRS and we fill them with 13-week or temporary. Tell me like why someone would use the service that you offer.
Yeah. So, I mean, there can be multiple different ways, but kind of the two main ways are, one, you could be in an area where you just don't have you just have more demand for care than you have nurses. Plain and simple. So that could be in a rural setting. Okay. It could be in a city too, where you just got high census. You got a lot of patients in your hospital. You just don't have enough people. So yes, every hospital has their HR department. They're going to post the jobs. They're looking for people, right? So that could be one of the things, and they just need help to bring people in. The other thing too is the other situation is there's just fluctuation in census, right? So if you play it smart from the client's perspective, you could have census spike, right? And so now you have your core staff there, and they have way more patients than they could probably handle to provide good patient care, right? So you're left with, well, do we go hire more people, right? And you can hire your core staff up. But what can be the challenge is if that census goes down, now you're overstaffed, you're paying too much, and it's really costly, right? So what do? Well, you can cut that core staff down, but then what does that do to your culture, right? And so in your long term, it's like, man, that doesn't help your overall employees. So if hospitals, we can help and partner with them and really adjust in those census. When you have those census spikes, instead of just building up on core staff and you're not really sure if that census is going to stay up or go down, you bring in supplemental staff, or you bring in a company like us, and we can help. So, hey, yeah, you've got, you might have you hire some nurses, you got some there for a shorter time frame, but you're not locked into our people beyond, 3 months or, 13 weeks. So that census does go down. Hey, you can just let the supplemental staff go. They'll move on to other hospitals where there is more demand. And now you're not burdening and really cutting into your core culture and core staff while on assignment. So those are kind of the main, situations, and where we can come in and actually kind of help, and it's really kind of maintaining in your core staff and your core people. So that's the way we see it, is how do we help build and keep your core staff there for you and build a strong culture and team at your facility.
Is that something you track or look at? Population data, census data? I mean, for me, I guess the question I'm asking is, during COVID, was your business proactive or reactive? Were you getting just a bunch of inbound stuff from Austin, Texas, or Florida where people are moving? Or were you looking at trends saying, hey, we need to target these markets?
Yeah. So yes. So COVID was totally different. Yeah.
Sure.
It was, people were coming to us needing that help. So that was more reactive.
Yep.
I think the proactive piece, as I was saying earlier, is we're going to pick and choose who we actually go work with and partner with through that piece. But yes, as we, the interesting thing that we are starting to look at, and we have different focuses on different states, you can see the population growth and, migration within different states, and which states are actually growing. That does, when there's more people there, you're going to need more healthcare services, and there's going to be more demand in those places. So yeah, that is definitely different areas and regions of the country that we've grown. We take a look at, it's hard for us to see census per se. That's really kind of coming from the hospitals and what they foresee and what they're expecting. But on a macro sense, you can see the movement in people and population, and where there wasn't, healthcare services. I mean, there's going to be more, facilities, hospitals, clinics, things like that are going to be growing. And that's based on demand and population. So yeah, we're focused we look at those areas and building relationships and targeting and helping those clients in those areas.
Here in Northwest Arkansas, what's the percent of like permanent staff versus like temporary staff? Like Mercy, Washington Regional. What do we usually have here?
Yeah, inside those hospitals is what you're saying. Yeah, most of them are. They're mostly core staff at those places. So you really don't want to be more than, supplemental staff doesn't need to be more than 10 to 15% of your actual population. So, and you have to manage that well and do well with that. So it's a process, but you don't want to be in a situation where there's 50% travelers in your hospital to core staff. That's really not the best solution. Sometimes that might happen to get them through some places, but yeah, a healthy environment, you're going to have good core staff and a good amount of core staff. That means you're paying well, you're taking care of your people, you're providing opportunities for them, development for them. That's going to do a lot for your core staff and keeping them there. So you want a consistent, solid base. And ultimately it's like, when the census goes up or you need help, you're providing relief to that core staff at the end of the day too, and allowing them to provide good patient care.
So that would be like the flip side of your business, or maybe the con. Like so the pro is there's a lot of demand in an area. Maybe the con is you have a hospital that's really mismanaged, poor leadership, unhealthy culture. They reach out to agencies to help solve that problem. How do you filter that out?
Yeah, so some of those things we will look at, like how much TOA or travelers, or how much of their staff is in there,
and they'll give you that data.
Yeah, we'll work with them, and we can kind of estimate what's there just by the volume that we have. So that's where it depends on this. Can there be a good hospital that needs a lot of staff, health supplemental staff? Yes. But there have been times where we're starting to look at kind of the situation, and also if there's a high amount of people there, and really what kind of issues are those healthcare professionals having on assignment. If they're having a lot of issues and there's a lot of chaos, that is a really key indicator, because we want it to be a good experience for the client, but we got to take care of that healthcare professional that's out on assignment too, and support them while they're there. If it's just continual issues and problems, it really becomes a risk situation for us too, because there's a lot of liability that we have going into those places too. So yes, we will take we'll look at the whole picture and see what the experience is from the healthcare professional while they're on assignment. And then we'll take a look at, is this really a good situation that we want to be involved in? And do we actually focus on different clients? And is it going to be a better situation for us and also the healthcare professional as well? So yeah, you get into those situations. It's not a lot, but they do come up from time to time.
So what is driving the growth in your business? Is it outbound? Is it talking to hospitals, providers, or is it your 600 healthcare professionals that work for you saying, hey, my friend just graduated nursing school. I love working for TRS. Like, come join us. Yeah. Where's the growth coming from?
Yeah. So where are we finding these people is kind of is the question you're getting there. So in our world, the biggest thing is referrals. I mean, that is the biggest piece. That is the best thing. So if we can provide great support, great service, and good pay to our professionals, that's going to go a long way. And so, yes, it is always easier. And we have referral programs and bonuses for paying our nurses, and also the ones that come to work for us, bonus. So yes, that is the easiest. That is the best. That's what we focus on. That's what we train our recruitment team to do. And also you have to train all your support staff too, because they have to have a good experience. Not always is that nurse going to be talking to the recruiter if they've got a pay question or a kind of an issue there. Like, we have to have people that can provide good communication and customer service. So it's kind of a whole team effort from our side to make sure that healthcare professionals having a great experience, and that we're taking care of them and supporting them when they're out on assignment, whatever need they might have. So that is a huge one. The other piece too is there's a lot of job boards out there. There's niche job boards that are for healthcare professionals that we're interacting with and we work with to get new leads and people into our ecosystem. And then we're always continuing to build through digital marketing, social media, build our database basically and pipeline of healthcare professionals out there. And so we're always marketing to them. We have our own marketing team and campaigns to really just focus in on our database that we built over the last 20, 25 years. So a lot of it, that's where a lot of our growth too has been from, is just us kind of just continuing to stay in front of those people when the time is right for them to go on assignment. Then they're calling us and talking to us.
That's cool.
What's your focus on now as a leader in this phase of the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So the biggest challenge, this is the biggest challenge we've had, is kind of going through the highs of COVID, coming down on the opposite side of COVID, and really managing that piece is through some choppy waters. How do you kind of maintain a culture and where you're at and what you're doing? And so we really had to reinvest into our values, in talking about our values. It's easy when things are going really good to really highlight those values and celebrate. And so that's kind of one of the biggest things for us this year, was like, man, we've been battling through. We've been doing great. I think you look around the industry and where we're at, and we're like, we've done really well. It just doesn't feel like it. And we're still at levels before COVID. We're still 100% higher than where we were before COVID. It just doesn't feel that way kind of coming out. So that's been a big push with our team is, hey, we're going to really, we have to go out and recognize people. We still have to celebrate. We have to call them out because great things are happening. And we just have to bring that to everybody's forefront and really just focusing in and highlighting the values and celebrating people. So we really just had through every meeting that we had. How did we do this? Every meeting that we had, I mean, there's a standard outline template, an agenda for that meeting. At the very top, it's values. Number one, value stories. It's like, we're not going to have a meeting where we're not talking about somebody living out our values within our organization, right? And so from a leadership perspective, every single meeting is set up that way. Those get filtered through where we're making sure when we're on those company meetings that we have on a daily basis, where we bring everybody together, or when I'm actually talking to the company, whether that's on, a couple times a month, I'll actually speak to our organization one time a month for sure. We are highlighting those stories and celebrating throughout the organization. So it's really kind of an intentional effort and focus to really highlight those things and celebrate people. When things aren't skyrocketing, it's easier to do, right? So that's been a big focus for us, number one. And then number two is, how do we really streamline and make things more efficient? And how do we make it easier for our recruitment team to place those nurses and handle those nurses? So that's one of the biggest things. We're looking at utilizing AI and automation to really take a lot of the friction and cost out of the process of a healthcare professional coming in the door and getting on assignment. There's just a lot logistically that happens through that process. So that's what we're really focused on too, is how do we help our team do their job a whole lot easier and with a lot less friction.
That's great. Well, last two questions here for you. Northwest Arkansas Founders, we're all about highlighting people who are building exceptional businesses here in Northwest Arkansas. What would you tell someone why build a business here in Northwest Arkansas?
Yeah. The area is just booming, right? And so there's so much opportunity here. And, even from my story, I think, if I started a business or I did the healthcare staffing here today and just started today, I wouldn't have needed to take the path I did when I was looking at going, how do I get healthcare staffing talent? Like, how do I get talent and that's not here in Arkansas? I think there's more talent like that. I know our business a whole lot better now, can operate it more efficiently now. And I don't think I would have to go out and try to find that. I think we have our systems and knowledge down that hey, we could use the talent that's here, right? I think there's so many more people here now too than 20 years ago when we were kind of going through this process and marching along. So I think there's just way more talent, way more people, and opportunity for a business to start. And also too, it's the burgeoning business community too. As the community grows, there's just more businesses here and more business leaders. And I think that's what I've enjoyed throughout the years. There's different business groups for, what you would call medium or small business. There's still a large business, revenue wise, but on the big scale, they're seen as small business. But there are so many other business leaders and business groups that I've been fortunate enough to be involved in that get you connected with other people that are of like mind. So whether it's a YPO group or a Vistage group or an EO group, there's just so many of those different groups around too that connect you with other business leaders. And that's what I've enjoyed a lot too, because you learn from those people and you build really long-lasting relationships and bonds. That's where I met the great Ben Clark, and eventually met you, Cameron. Was through one of those groups, and we still stay in touch, even though that we're not in a group together. We're still in contact with another. Those are almost like your fraternity brothers. You can call up anytime you have something to go to lunch and bounce some ideas off of, and they can help you out in a lot of different ways. So that's what I've enjoyed too. In Northwest Arkansas, I think that's only growing and going to get better and bigger as well.
And then as far as everything that Alice Walton's doing right now, have you seen that start to affect your business here yet, or just the talent you're talking about? I imagine in 10 years, we're really going to see it. Any answer to that there?
Yeah. So, with what she's doing, it hasn't really affected us as our core business and what we're doing. I love what she's doing though, and the type of medicine that she's going after. And I think it really, helps approach, hey, how do we provide better patient care at a lower cost and doing things a little bit differently than the traditional medicine, which is amazing. I think that gets into the macro picture of as you asked earlier, what do we want to see out of healthcare? So to me, it hasn't really affected our business per se, but I think on the medical industry and the healthcare industry, it's very forward thinking and going in a different direction. And I think eventually it's going to pay dividends in the long run. I think where it does kind of, maybe as I think about it, where it does maybe impact or we run in the same circles, really their focus is to how do you go help rural communities. So that's what she's bringing those doctors in. She really wants them to go out and help those less advantaged areas that need help. And so we kind of help within our business too. That's a little bit of a niche where we do go in and help hospitals that are maybe in a more rural setting that they need help. They just can't find the talent, as we were talking about, that first challenge that we help hospitals with. So we kind of focus in that same area and have that same passion as well.
How do you define success?
Yeah. For, as a business level or personal, what is, that's a big question.
Open-ended. I think just, I would say across both.
Yeah.
We ask every guest that question, and some have directed it more to their business and some more on the personal side. And I understand it's not a stagnant question.
Right. I think, as looking at our business, success over the years, hey, I wanted to have a business that can grow, and also just to create a business that is bigger than myself. And building it with people in mind and a great culture and a great organization. That's been, for me, I think a big driver and why I wake up every single day is, in our organization, we spend time with these people and the people that we work with more than we do with our family. And I just wanted it to be a great place to work and do amazing things. And so for us, that's what we get to do. I'm really passionate. It really is patient care at the end of the day. If we don't provide that nurse to that hospital, maybe my friend doesn't get taken care of, and maybe my daughters, my wife don't get taken care of, right? That happens every single day. That's what we get to do. So it's an amazing to be in an industry that does that has a higher calling and a higher purpose, I believe. But to build it to where people and really enjoy coming in and doing what they love every single day. And we get to be a part of that. And, for it to grow and do what we've done is just, I'm blessed beyond belief. I've been able to, I don't deserve it. That's for sure. And it's just a wonderful thing. So to me, to see something thriving, to see people thriving and enjoying what they do and accomplishing a mission and a vision that we've set out, I think that's been success for us in our organization. And, for me, how that ties into me, my focus is I want to have a strong family, and I want to be a great husband, and I want to be a great father to my family. And that's probably the most important thing in, my faith as well. And so that's where I've really leaned into our organization is I can't do all those things if I don't have help in our organization and with our team and with our people. So really building into those people in our organization, in our company, kind of it's twofold. One, I think it drives and propels our company forward to do great things, but also allows me to, pursue my something bigger in life. That's kind of our mission, and our vision is to help our people achieve their something bigger. And mine is my family and spending time there and being a good father and a good husband. And so that's kind of success to me, and how they tie together from a business perspective, which helps, I think, our business grow. I can't do all this by myself and still want to be a good husband and father in my family, and my responsibility is there. So we need help to do that. And man, we're just tremendously blessed, and I think we've been successful. And I hope my wife and kids say I'm a good husband and dad. So I need to go ask them, right?
Afterwards.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we do at the end of every episode is summarize kind of what we learned from you today.
Mm-hmm.
We think people in the community are going to learn as they just hear you talk about your business and how you built it with the help of your team over many years. So I think the first thing, even before we got on air, the words that I would use to describe you, very forward thinking. We were talking about AI and how that's interrupting all of our businesses, right, and specifically yours, and just trying to figure out not AI to replace people, but AI to help people, mm-hmm, automation to help people to become more efficient so that you can pay nurses more and help them. So right, I think forward thinking is a great word to describe you. And if you're trying to grow a business, you're working in a business, trying to think proactively and forward looking is always going to be a benefit. So definitely learn that from you. I think the second word I'd use to describe you, or we used to describe you, is thoughtful. Hearing you talk about the couple examples you gave of those stories with nurses from TRS, mm-hmm, who had an impact on patients' lives. Really cool to hear that. And then also hearing you just talk about nurses in general, how they were overlooked and underappreciated, and now they're getting some of the recognition they deserve. Sounds like there's still work to do there, but I think just goes to show the thoughtful nature of what you bring to the table as you integrate it into your business. So I think we can all learn from that. And then I think the last word that I'd use to describe you is strategic. And the story that in the podcast that you gave of choosing the right partners when a tsunami of business is coming your way during COVID, having the clarity to look at the tree in the forest of saying, okay, well, these are the right trees. These are the people that we're going to do business with, because 10 years from now, they're going to be the right partners to help us grow and to take care of our team, et cetera. So I think it takes a lot of focus and a lot of strategy to actually, when you have a wave of business, to say, no, like, this is what we need to stay focused on. So I think we learned a great deal from you today. I think, anyone who listens to this podcast is going to do the same. So Taylor, thanks for your time. And thanks for being with us today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. It's great, and love what you guys are doing too, and getting the word out there in Northwest Arkansas, and it's a great place to be.
It is.
Awesome.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for listening to this episode of NWA Founders, where we sit down with founders, owners, and builders driving growth here in Northwest Arkansas. For recommendations or to connect with us, reach out at nwafounders@gmail.com. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, then please consider leaving a rating, a review, and sending it to someone who you think would benefit from it. We'll see you in the next episode.